Hey guys, Gemma from ASD Rocks, talking to you today. Perfect for what I'm about to talk about, excuse me. Talking to you today about tone, voice tone. And when you have a young child, or even, I believe any child that is on that low to non-verbal spectrum part of autism, and how to communicate with them. And it's something that I noticed with Beau because I would spend so much time with him at home, teaching him and doing all of the things that I would do with him, that I noticed that when different people used different tones to ask the same question, he didn't understand. So what do I mean by tone? Whenever I said to Beau, we'd have animals lined up, and I'd say, what does an elephant say? What does a tiger say? So you can hear that I keep it absolutely 100% consistent. I'm leaving a break, and then I'm doing the second part. Now, what that does for the child, other than unfortunately when someone outside of the family says to your child, what does an elephant say? Or what does an elephant say? They don't understand them. But what happens is, as you set up this, what does a dog say? They associate the sound, that consistent sound. What does da-da-da-da? And what I noticed was he would answer me. He wouldn't answer. He would say, so he would do noises. So I'd say, what does a dog say? And he'd go, oof, 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 oof. He couldn't even really make animal sounds properly. But anyway, what does a snake say? So keeping that the exact same tone for different questions will help him. It'll set him up. Now, this is a huge long process, because what happens then is you have to, I would notice that my husband would come home and he would try and communicate with Beau, and he didn't necessarily have the same tone with the same break, so Beau wouldn't understand. But if you can teach your partner, your husband, or someone else to keep that same tone, then they will understand, because you're doing it repetitively. So the point is, with these kids, anything repetitive will ingrain. So I would find myself carrying Beau around as a baby, and we'd go, to friends' houses or whatever. And, when they're 2 and 3, these are the common questions, oh, hello, how are you? They'd play and they'd have little animals, and they'd go, what does the doggy say? What does the doggy say? And, Beau would just sort of stare at them. And I would find myself interjecting, and I would pick up and I would go, what does a doggy say? And he would answer. So, tone of voice and consistency for those sorts of things are really, really important. You can do it with anything, as long as, I'm trying to think of another example other than what does that I used to do to get him to respond. It does take some setting up time, but I think the point is just remembering, speaking on a flat level, like what we would call sort of, a flat tone. What does a dog say? And especially quickly, there's no understanding. It's all just one sentence of gibberish. So if you're just starting this process, my suggestion is that you would get 3, not too many, 2 or 3 different animals, and you would get down on your knees. Always get down on your knees to communicate with your child. It's not about making them look at you in the eye. It's about giving them the opportunity to see your face. So get down on your knees, have 2 or 3 animals set out, and start the process. So we start the process with the answer always. What does Gap an elephant say? Put it down. What does Gap pick up a dog say? Woof, woof. Put it down. And then we start with drawing. As always, set up full, tell them what you expect, and then over time withdraw. What does a dog say? Woof, woof. Give it a few days. Don't expect, I think it's amazing for people who try this and it happens immediately, but don't expect it immediately. Usually I would say, give it a good week minimum of setting up with the same animals. Don't change the animals. Only introduce new animals after they already have down the correct answers to the question that you have. So after a week of giving the answer, picking it up, what does an elephant say? And you put it down. Then after that week or 2 days, you can try. You can leave the pause longer before you give the answer to give them the opportunity to answer and see if they are prompted to answer. But after a week, pick it up and go, what does a dog say? And then just pause and leave and see if they fill it in. Now it's the same, I'm now thinking of, where is the, so I always use the same tone. Where is the, it's in books, so you can either do it with the animals with pointing, or we get heaps of kids' books that have, animals in them. Where is the space dog? One word, really easy. But what you're doing, so if they know their animals specifically, especially with what does the animals say, we're already teaching the animals. So I highly suggest starting with basic, simple things. Animals, always animals. They're great. They're great for bringing on verbal stuff. Colors, animals, colors, and counting. These are the 3 things that I will always start with. So what does and where's the dog? Or where is the, it just depends on how many words you want to introduce and how it's going to work for you. You don't want to change your speech too much, because you want to, you want to eventually have it all meld together and have that child understand you speak in the regular way you speak. So if you're a person that would normally say, where's the, then you can just keep that tone. Where's the dog? Where is the dog? Whatever it is, however it works for you, but keep that space. So you're setting up a sentence. Where is the dog? They know dog. They know, and you point. You point. Where is the dog? Point after you've said it. Where is the cat? Point. Then slowly withdraw the pointing, okay? And then get them to point. Even if you can, get them to hold your hand while you point. You might even find that, as with Bo, when I did it, where is the, and I would say B, and he would take my finger and point, because that's what I'd been doing. So he thought that I wanted him to point. But these things, as they progress and they get older. So tone, set up questions with the same tone. Leave a space after that question which they don't understand with a one-word thing that they do understand. Give the answer immediately, and then after a week or after however long, start increasing the amount of time that you give that answer to allow them time to speak, and then eventually withdraw that answer altogether. So, where is the sheep? And hopefully, after a week, they've heard they're now getting the da da da. I know, and then sheep, a word I know. So I know I'm supposed to point at the sheep. But eventually, what will happen is, as they actually get older and as your speech therapy progresses and as these routines come along, the tone becomes less important because they'll start hearing the actual words within the tone because it's repetitious. Where is the? What does? So you've got these tones that eventually they start listening to the words more than the tone, and then they'll start understanding other people. Now, there's a good side and a bad side to this. The really good side is you're communicating with your child. Huge plus. In my opinion, bigger plus than anything else. The downside is anyone that doesn't know these tones, anyone that doesn't know how to set up, so grandparents, extended family, friends, whatever, they're not going to be able to communicate. But if your family and whatever are open to learning, then you can teach them. But more importantly, eventually, if you're there and the grandparent, in your case, your parent, is going, where's the dog? Where's the dog? Where's the dog? Whatever it happens to be, you can interject and say, where is the dog? And they'll show. And so you can sort of act as an intermediary between that family member and your child. So keep tones really, really consistent. Make a space, get down on your knees, make a space, start with one or two things, and then always give the answer after for the first week or so, and then slowly leave the pause. Where is the? If they don't fill it in, then give the answer. Where is the sheep? And slowly we bring in the pause, we bring in and we remove the answer. And eventually you're able to, still with the same tone, where is the sheep? There. So it's about setting up absolute consistency in voice tone. It's about leaving gaps, and it's about extending pauses to give an opportunity to answer. So set up for success, show them what you want them to do, and then slowly remove that answer. And there's not, I can't give you amount of time it'll take to do that. I can't give you amount of time. Some kids will do it that day. Some kids will do it in a week, 2 weeks, 6 months. It's hard to say. But I guarantee you one thing, if you are starting young enough and if you are doing it consistently enough, you will eventually get the results. Thank you for your comments, guys. It's what prompts me to do this. And I'm really, really glad that there are people that are starting to be able to communicate with their kids, because I remember the first time that Bo ever said mama, and that's one of those big days. And actually I will teach you how I did that. But not in this video because it's going to get too long. All right, guys, ASD rocks. Set up your children for success by giving them the answers and letting them know what you expect.